When I think about an addict, I don't think about somebody like my son. He knew he was eventually going to get off of it.
Broken promises, broken hearts.
I know somebody who has 6 friends who are dead because of this.
With more than 3 opioid overdoses every day, addiction is all around us. Teens popping pills at school, neighbors turning to needles, parents shooting up in front of their own kids.
But it doesn't stop. It never stops.
The pull turning loved ones into liars, thieves, strangers, and angels.
I told him that his father and I would never survive losing him. And he promised me that would not happen. It's a hell of a promise to break to your mother.
The stories tonight are heartbreaking. We're taking a closer look tonight at the governor's new Opioid Epidemic Act he just signed into law.
It comes with a big push to limit prescription opioids. Some families, though, are worried that it's doing nothing to stop the generation of opioid abusers from becoming heroin addicts.
3TV's Nicole Crites has our special report.
You can't imagine what it's like to have a dependency on a drug like oxycodone.
Shannon Nitsch says state lawmakers cracking down on prescription pain pills to stop our opioid epidemic seem to have overlooked simple cause and effect, unleashing, she fears, another crisis.
What we're really not addressing is the next half, which is what happened to all those opiate addicts. They're becoming addicts of something else, and it's something far worse.
Her son Scott got hooked on pain meds after an ATV accident. Studies show you have a 60% risk of addiction after just 6 days. His doctor had him on them 5 years.
I'm not sure anybody who's making these decisions has ever been there.
Scott once went through a 30-day supply in 26 hours, and when rehab didn't work and his doctor cut him off, like millions of others, he turned to heroin.
So we traded the pills for a needle.
Scott overdosed 2.5 years ago.
I will never watch him become the man he should have been, fall in love, get married, have children. 5 of his friends are dead in the span of 2 years.
This one here actually was the day he passed away.
Roxanne Jeckstock's son, Zach, is one of them.
He was such a jokester. He was such a good-hearted person.
Last year, police found Zach slumped behind the wheel of his car, left running in the rain in the Scottsdale parking lot.
They gave him 2 shots of Narcan, but it was too late.
He went from popping pills with friends to heroin and didn't make it either. Opiates have an 80% relapse rate in the first year. Zach had been to rehab at least 5 different times.
I know somebody who has 6 friends who are dead because of this.
Where do we even begin to make change?
When we have to deal with both ends of the spectrum.
David Larimer is the clinical program director at Scottsdale Recovery Center and agrees we can't ignore the addicts already hooked, but says we have a responsibility to stop the next wave.
We've known for 25 years that prevention is more effective than treatment, and yet we continue nationally to underfund prevention.
He says we need to try something shocking, like the Faces of Meth campaign.
Young people didn't like having that look, and it dramatically impacted the meth use. Those are the kind of public service announcements that we have to go back to, that we know that works.
He says people need to understand the opioid equation, pills to the needle to the grave.
The statistics are staggering.
Almost always at capacity, SRC just opened 2 more recovery houses. And multiplying demand, the governor's plan now requires hospitals to make a rehab referral anytime they treat a patient who's overdosed.
There's not enough beds, there's not enough facilities, there aren't enough clinicians.
Shannon says they had to go out of state for rehab.
What kind of help do families need right now for the millions who are already addicted and dependent?
Most of the professionals that I talked to, the people that should have answers that I didn't, really had nothing to offer me, that I hear no plan.
If not the needle, what are the options for those who are already hooked?
That's what I want the decision makers to hear loud and clear. We have millions of people sitting there going, what now?
Releasing balloons on Zach's Angelversary, Roxanne isn't letting go of the fight.
I don't want another parent to have to go through what I went through.
As a nurse practitioner, she got the new clinic she's working at to stop giving opioids to patients.
So I won't have to worry about, writing that prescription of somebody that could become addicted or have it in the house and their children get a hold of it.
Our present is staring us in the face, and it's terrifying.
Shannon doesn't fault state leaders for not knowing her hell. She just doesn't know how they didn't see it coming a decade ago, and hopes they're not simply writing off the Scotts and Zacks out there right now, hiding their pain in plain sight, one high away from being tomorrow's statistic.
I don't want you to know what it's like. I don't want them to know what it's like. I don't.
The governor's plan helps set up immunity for anyone who reports an overdose, something called the Angel Initiative, where addicts can surrender drugs and keep their kids out of foster if they get help, and more than 18 additional safe med disposal boxes. Go through your own medicine cabinet. I found this old bottle with 40 pills I never used from when my daughter was born 9 years ago. Now you can safely dispose of them at more than 150 locations. That list and a breakdown of this legislation on our website, azfamily.com.